Post literacy Post literacy is a continuation of basic literacy for retention and stabilization of literacy skills. Very important aspect they stated. Post literacy, after acquiring literacy, that stage is called as post literacy. It is a continuation of basic literacy for retention. Retention is very, very important. See, usually in research and all, we call a research called experimental research, where we try to find out effectiveness of some package on academic achievement. And we won't stop with only post test. We also find out how far it has its impact, continue to have its impact even in post delayed test and all. Similar fashion also, we need post literacy, because many a time we develop literacy among the neo-literates or non-literates, but what happens after some time, that will fade away. So we need to give some amount of practice to them. That is called post literacy. This is something we can call like a fall off in literacy. We can say a fall off in literacy. This is very important for retention and stabilization, and especially for neo-literates, either through the total literacy campaigns or non-formal education programs. It is necessary to prevent the relapse of neo-literates into literacy. Many a time, like if people won't continue their education, if they won't strengthen or stabilize, they may again fall back into the illiteracy. They may in fact become defunct in the sense the literacy skills will be like more or less become non-functional in case if there is no such post literacy initiatives. And also, if they want to fulfill any future needs aspiration, there is a continuous need for post literacy. Post literacy leads the learners from guided learning. Initially, when non-literates, they need guided learning. After they acquire some amount of literacy skills, they can go for self-learning. We know that nowadays we see the learners who are increasingly becoming self-learners. In the beginning, they have to be guided. Gradually, they are becoming self-learners. Now we can see that even when we look into the present era, driven by technology, we can make out that now initially the pre-primary school children, primary school children may say up to fourth standard, they are quite dependent on teachers. From fifth or sixth standard onwards, children are increasingly becoming self-learners. How? Why? How means it is because of OTT. It is because of internet, social media. How they are becoming? Why they are becoming? Means it is the knowledge exploration is there everywhere, because there are sources, not only the teacher, right? So when such is the situation, it is important that the same amount of momentum should be inculcated among adults, because adults they totally are typically different, typically different from other learners, because adult learners when they are non-literates, when you give literacy to them, they may try to forget because they have many other responsibilities to cater. That's why we need to see that post literacy should be continued as a mission. Self learning is possible only through the provision of continuing education facilities. Yes, some people even that they go for self learning, some amount of external motivation is required, that can be given through post literacy initiative. The scheme of continuing education for non-literates was launched by the National Literacy Mission way back in December 1995. So in India, it was launched in 1995. This is popularly called as NLM, National Literacy Mission. In December 1995, it took into the cognizance of the needs of the neo-literates and non-literates, and accordingly, a momentum was started in the form of National Literacy Mission. This mission has brought lot of changes, and it is providing mainly the continuing education through continuing education centers. National Literacy Mission started in 1995 is offering continuing education, nothing but post literacy programs through continuing education centers to enable the neo-literates to retain, to improve and apply their basic knowledge and skills in fulfilling their day-to-day needs and aspirations. See, in the previous session, I mean to say, the last Sunday session, we did discuss about continuing education centers. Basically, continuing education center has three rooms: main hall, library, and another room for discussion point of view. And the basic community should be there. If as a distance I mean learner, as a adult education educator, Mr. Krishnan Roy, you can try to see, you can try to visit adult education centers and all. They are in fact called as continuing education center. There has to be library, there has to be main hall, and the library should be functional. There should be books, both for non-literates and literates, and later on some advanced books also, newspapers also can be there. All that. Then coming to the next one, concept of lifelong learning. What is this concept of lifelong learning? So I won't get much deep into the meaning of lifelong learning. We already know that. The report given by the report which was commissioned by UNESCO in 1972, it has just advocated the following concept of lifelong education. Earlier, lifelong education, now it is being called as lifelong learning. Till some years ago, it was being called as lifelong education. Now, lifelong learning. Yes, for the right and need of each individual to learn for his or her social, economic, political, and cultural development throughout our life or his life. Yes, lifelong education implies that it is the right given for individual to update or to improve himself or herself in all the spheres of the life. To recognize it as the basic concept of education policy, lifelong learning should be considered as basic concept of education policy. See, long back people used to say, I completed a degree, I completed a PhD, I completed postdoctoral. See, people used to feel appreciative about people who complete PhD long back. Now people even some years ago, postdoctoral was it was being appreciated. But nowadays, it is not about postdoctoral or doctoral program. What matters is how long the teacher has been continuously learning. So even for teachers like us, we also need to continuously learn. If this is the case for us, we are educated, we have our own literacy, everything and all. Then think about the neo-literates, think about the non-literates and all. So they also need lifelong learning, because it is said that the learning can never be stopped. Learning can never end. It is a lifelong process. From birth to till death, one need to learn. As we breathe daily, likewise, the learning should be part and parcel of life. Because when we are a continuous learner, we can update ourselves. In the 90s, the term lifelong education was replaced by lifelong learning. See, way back in 1990s only, the term lifelong education was replaced by the term lifelong learning. So I don't think nowadays people call it as lifelong education. Hopefully, everybody is calling like lifelong learner, lifelong learning. These are the terminologies. One of the motto of IGNO, Indira Gandhi Open University, is to encourage lifelong learning. And coming to lifelong education, like either lifelong education or lifelong learning, they have a set of characteristics. Any lifelong learning program being given to the neo-literates or non-literates should have following characteristics. Can you read out, Mr. Krishnan Rai, which are in the color form?
Yes, it is need based. It should encourage creativity. It helps in solving problems. It brings in desirable changes in the knowledge, attitude, and skills. It must create interest among the learners.
Yes, lifelong learning, what ultimately matters is even interest. See, it is said that people, when they do things out of their interest, they do it with all liking, with all satisfaction. Please remember, whenever we take up any course, any program, anything, when we do out of our interest, almost we can get success. Almost we feel like we like it. Fine. So what matters is likewise, while offering the post literacy programs to the adult learners, what is important is to keep in mind their interest. Whatever we give, materials is being given, they should be interesting. So I'm going to deal with the materials for neo-literates and non-literates, the later slides and all. They should be interesting. They can't be like similar to the materials which are being given to the university students or post-doctoral students. Especially for non-literates and neo-literates, the materials are totally different. I can say they're somewhat contrasting. Okay. Groups of lifelong learners. Who are the lifelong learners? How many types of lifelong learners are there? Let us see. First one, conventional first to second stage learners. Conventional first and second stage learners. We can call them, in fact, they are the one very important and they are in the need of basic education and training. Second one, retired citizens or older people who are highly educated but still want to do something. And there are students, regular students, who want a higher education, qualification, and there are learners who want to diversify. Especially, you have seen people who have done computer science and management and all. They want to diversify their knowledge and all. And here, the most importance is being given to the conventional first and second stage learners, basic learners, we can say. Pure literates, non-literates, and they are in fact they are in the need of basic education and training. So generally we come across these groups of learners as being lifelong learners. Types of lifelong learning programs. There are variety of uh, lifelong learning programs. Let us see those. Yes, Mr. Krishnan, you can read out just headings.
General basic education programs, post literacy programs, development oriented programs and future oriented programs, employment oriented and career development education, leisure time activities.
So these are the see post literacy program, a terminology applicable only to the semi literates and neo literates. You can never ever say post literacy for other learners. Other learners, you can say like they have got enough education, but they have to be updated. When it comes to semi literates, neo literates, so they are without any literacy. Then general basic education program, vocational program for rural urban communities, and even for farmers, workers, artisans, traders, etc. Future oriented programs and employment oriented career development education for unemployed, underemployed youth and all, and leisure time activities for housewives and out of school youth. These are some of the post this one lifelong learning programs. There are many agencies, institutions, and resources of lifelong learning. What are those agencies, institutions, and resources? Let us just see. Mass media, press, radio, TV, film, and I'm sorry I forgot to add social media. Social media is one of the important media. We can, in fact, say they are separate category. Social media is like a megastar, we can say, something unique, and they are impacting highly. And many people they say that WhatsApp university learner. We say some people right, they go by the WhatsApp message and all. So there I say
Yes,
that it's a
absolutely.
social Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, social and WhatsApp, etc. There are many more social media. Fine. Cultural institutions like drama, theater, fine arts, academics, youth clubs, farmer clubs, library, mobile library. So I think mobile library it is being this initiative is being taken up by both government, NGOs, etc. And idea is to encourage reading habits among the people. Even this mobile library is encouraged in the Rio to hit areas. People when people sit idly, when people are not properly educated, in such areas also libraries are encouraged. It is said that when a person holds the book, you'll put down his weapon down. When a person holds the book for reading, you'll put down his weapon. Supplementary reading materials, graded books, broadsheets, literature produced by the Extension Department, other institutions, continuing education centers, yes, then farmers training centers, Shramik Vidyapit, open schools, open universities need to establish interactive communication program in order to support adult learning. That means this mass media, cultural libraries, supplementary, in fact, they are like resources, but some institutional mechanism has to be there. That institutional mechanism is nothing but continuing education center mainly. Continuing education center for adult learners. And after that, definitely the open school, open universities, conventional universities, right? See, nowadays we can observe that most of the conventional universities are not given any opportunity to offer open programs. I think gradually UGC is putting a lot of strict norms. Earlier, a conventional university can also offer distance program. I don't know why, like UGC, maybe due to the various other factors, now they're just only asking open universities to continue with the non-formal education. Whereas the conventional universities, they're offering conventional programs. But even then, even the conventional universities also can help in continuation of continuing education centers. They can complement and supplement the prerec and assistant prerec. Prerec is nothing but he is the one who is the teacher of adults. Assistant prerec means in the absence of prerec, assistant prerec. Professor, assistant professor, we say, right? Prerec is a teacher for adults. Now, guided learning, generally, the guided learning, people, especially for neo-literates, non-literates, in the beginning, what is important is demonstration, guided discussion, lecture discussion, then tutorial. Tutorial is also very, very important. Some people need more of personal attention. See, in the adult learners, another important factor that should be kept in mind is special adult learners. They might have been well till certain age, maybe hearing handicappedness, partially blind, such people, right? And people who are traumatized, people who are under stress, they're all special category of adults. They need some kind of whatever it is a tutorial. Not only that, even among adult learner, there can be slow learners also. So tutorial they need, and guided learning means being guided by the prerek. Prerek and assistant prerek guide adult learners, especially when it is guided. When they are being guided, they follow demonstration, guided discussion, lecture discussion, tutorial. And coming to the next one, self-directed learning. The self-directed learning, we can say that we can gradually encourage people, especially the adult learners, those who deserve to go for visits, tours, field trip, problem solving, open learning. But especially this is not that applicable to the non-literates or neo-literates. It all just depends. Especially the methods methods for self-directed learning, it depends upon the caliber of the adult learners. And even the materials like posters, display board, charts, flannel, graphs, puppets, the radio, gramophone, tape record, films, TV. So all these. And even the tools for self-study include textual method, making them to read, supplement reading material, reference material, program instruction. Generally, for the neo-literates, probably you can increase. But for non-literates, like they need time. Neo-literates, at least they have some amount of basic knowledge. We can encourage them. Then next one, I think I repeated here. Okay, let us move on to the unit 4, institutionalization of continuing education. Purposes of continuing education. So, of course, why we need continuing education, that is well known. The same purposes I'm going to repeat. Continuing education is one which occurs beyond initial education. It is a lifelong process of learning for human resource development and ultimately to achieve better quality of life. When people are educated, when people are literate, definitely the society will prosper. All the people can contribute. Skillful persons we can produce only through literacy. A person or a human being can become human resource through literacy programs. Following are the purposes of continuing education. To consolidate, we need to give continuing education to the neo-literates or neo-literates and semi-literates so that they become adequately functional literates. To create scope for application of functional literacy. Many people they learn but they may not be able to apply. Application is very very important. Application is the very important objective, especially that is the part of cognitive domain. We know about cognitive domain, right? So application, when you say application, it includes remembering, understanding, and even when you state application, this analyzing, then evaluating, then creating will come into that only. In fact, application can be related to skill. In fact, application can also be related to the attitude. Ultimately, application is very, very important. That is functional literates. Many people will say that they have only theory knowledge, they never apply. So we need to encourage, we need to consolidate. How we can consolidate the learning or literacy that happened on the part of the fresh learners. So by means of providing continuing education only, to create scope for application of functional literacy. So as much as possible, the adult learners, so like semi-literates, neo-literates, they should be encouraged to meet the day-to-day needs by means of using their functional literacy. Okay, suppose when the adult learner learns the ABCD, etc. and all, he should be in a position to write a letter to the concerned office, letter to the newspaper, should be able to even guide other people, should be able to motivate a fellow citizens to get the education. To disseminate information on developmental program. Yes, continuing education must to give information on developmental program, and it is very important with respect to national integration, conservation and improvement of the environment, women's equality, observance of small family norm. Mr. Krishnan Rai, which is the most threatening environmental issue or pressing environmental issue for India?
Sorry, which are the
Which is the most pressing environmental issue for India?
ozone depletion, water, I mean, ozone depletion is one, global warming, which we call,
Global
and
warming. Yes, that is the biggest threat. Literally, everybody is under its threat on climate change. For higher education, we
climate change.
call it climate change. Especially for school children, we call it as global warming for better comprehension. And when it comes to plus one onwards, we call it as climate change. And scientists accept the word or propose the word climate change. Climate change is the big threat. Now, this has very important implication for adult education. In fact, in many places and all, people are seeing erratic rainfall, weather changes in the weather and all, but still they are may not be aware of the phenomena called climate change. Climate change, particularly anthropogenic climate change, is the biggest threat. How see, people should be informed what is this climate change, how it is impacting. When farmers are alerted over climate change through this disseminating information on certain aspect, I mean climate change, definitely farmers will understand how they can save water, how they can go for rotating of crops, they can take possible precautions, all that and all. So many of the people there, even today, they think that greenhouse effect and climate change are same. No, greenhouse effect and climate change are harmful. People say no. Greenhouse effect is must for survival of us. We have a right temperature on the planet Earth. It is because of greenhouse effect. Enhanced greenhouse effect is called climate change, which is a threat to the human world. And even this continuing education, they provide short duration training program and orientation course for providing vocational skills. People who are learning new skills, that is called orientation. People who are already into the vocational skills, then if they want to update, then we can go for short duration. For example, I can say that in higher education, we have a this one UGC approved short term course for our AGP and all to upgrade ourselves. Short term course means if we want to update ourselves, right? Types of continuing educational programs. We have different types of continuing education program: post literacy remedial program. Remedial, if neo-literates, semi-literates are erratic anywhere in their learning, that will be corrected. General basic education for rural and urban communities. Develop, developmental types of programs. Employment oriented programs. Future oriented programs. So all these are the types of continuing education programs. Post literacy, remedial, general basic education, developmental types of programs, employment oriented programs, future oriented programs. Next, providers of continuing education. Mr. Krishnan Rai, is continuing education provided only by continuing education centers?
Formally, you can say that in the formal way, but ultimately, education is a lifelong learning part, right? It's a lifelong learning. So it is being done through many experiences and everyday experiences also. So I won't say ki it's only just because the continuing learning centers, it is done in daily life also.
Yes. So apart from what you said, now let us look into the look into the other slides, to know which are the other agencies which are complementing and supplementing adult education in India. Because only continuing education centers alone cannot promote literacy among semi-literates or neo-literates. Let us see. Universities. Universities, higher education institutions, colleges, evening colleges, correspondence institutions, adult, continuing education, and extension departments. They're also providing for continuing education. And not to forget, see here I'm taking the word continuing education not only for adult learners, for everyone. Those who are in the need of continuation of, those who are in the need of continuing education. Open universities, distance education institutions like national, state open universities. Mr. Krishnan, in India, which is the open university, national open university?
NIOS,
IGNO. IGNO is
okay,
the uh,
IGNO is
IGNO is
there,
the
yeah.
only national open university in India. It is the only national.
I said university.
State level, we have many.
NOS is also a national level, but that is for schooling. You
Yes,
asked for university, so that is IGNO. Sorry,
yes.
I answered for schooling.
State open schools and NIAS. Have you heard of the word NIAS? National Institute of Open Schooling.
That
Yes,
is that is again a national level of the schooling, National Institute of Open Schooling. So that is
yes.
also a national level of the schooling centers
I
throughout
remember
India.
in the 2017-19, between 2017 and 19, what happened? Throughout India, NIAS has taken up initiative. National Institute of Open Schooling has taken up a national initiative to strengthen teaching competency among non-qualified teachers. There were thousands of teachers who were not trained and they were working in schools. And with humanistic point of view, NIAS gave the permission for all the teachers to take up a program called DELED, Diploma in Elementary Education. That, in fact, I can say continuing education for teachers. Teachers, they had literacy, but not complete functional literacy. That initiative was taken everywhere throughout India. Most of the colleges were given near study center. Even I worked as a academic counselor for NIAS for 2 years. So teachers, especially, were working in primary schools, nursery schools. They were so happy to do the course. That was one time opportunity. And here we also have government departments and agencies, adult and continuing education, Janashikshana Samsthans, Mahila Samakya, and community politics. About Mahila Samakya, I'll show you other slides if time permits. Okay. And even community polytechnics, they're so helpful to strengthen the basic skills among the aspirants. Community polytechnics. So basically, everybody may not be able to or afford education, and some people may be aged. Even then, they were given training, electrician training, carpenter training, not carpenter, electrician, mechanic, all that and all. Because usually youth they join polytechnic college. If some elderly person goes to polytechnic college as a student, there will be mismatch. See, that is not the problem in case of continuing education. Mr. Krishnan Rai, recently I wrote exams, 7 exams here in Bangalore. So when I went for my exam as a part of IGNO, PG Diploma in Disaster Management, I have done my seventh program in IGNO. I completed successfully. While when I went for writing first exam in December 2022, the moment I entered examination hall, invigilator stood up and students also stood up, examinees. Then I told, I'm also examining only, please be seated. When it is in distance education like that, so they were all conventional. Invigilator was from regular engineering college, but they accepted me. If it's a regular, people won't accept. Something mismatch will be there. But I've seen a person who was the 70s, late 70s, 90, 70 years, 70 plus. Some for 5 years back, I went to same institution. That is what is Kempegowda, Bangalore Institute of Technology. Bangalore Institute of Technology to write my exam. And 2019, I think I remember, I happened to see an elderly person. He was with one girl. I thought both of them maybe grandfather and granddaughter. They were discussing. Then I thought, okay, he's helping her probably. When the exam was about to commence, she went inside. He also accompanied her. Then I thought maybe he's giving moral booster to her. There is no any regular, I mean, scheme in the way we sit. There is no compulsion. We can sit anywhere. He sat just little beside her in same bench. Two people can be accommodated. I was shell shocked. Oh बाप रे ये क्या है ये आदमी एग्जाम लिख रहे हैं क्या Oh I felt a salute to him because I can confidently tell that he was 70 plus but unfortunately I could not talk to him. So all this happened because of the continuing education and the national, state, local level. There are professional organizations, many organizations, teacher educational institutions are associations are there. Okay, wide variety of teacher associations, organizations. So nowadays, you know about webinars, seminars, conferences, they are common. Webinars have become part and parcel. Webinars, online faculty development programs, all these because of the initiative of professional associations and organizations. As per our convenience, they are organizing, right? See, I've attended many webinars in the evening time also, between 7:30 to 9 o'clock. So I was feeling so comfortable. I was really liking it. So when we take up these kind of programs, we become more constructive. Our attention will be more on education rather than on people. When we sit idle, we are the one we just involve in gossiping. We start speaking about people. No human being can be immune to that. See, there are people who can be minimized, but we can minimize basically mainly by means of keeping ourselves busy. Okay, so the evening programs, all that and all common, and even we have many other programs, employers, employment settings, business firms, social agencies, hospitals, hotels, banks, etc. Yes, I had to mention. Before last year, there was one student called Indra. She did her PG diploma in adult education. In fact, she was working in a hospital. And she took adult education initiatives at the hospital. She wanted to develop basic awareness on basic health, how health should be strengthened. Fine. So settings can be anything. Trade unions, member education. In the trade unions also many people are illiterates. So trade unions take the initiative to educate themselves. Sponsor certificate programs are there, degree programs are there, and especially NGOs. NGOs are doing a big job. NGOs are must. NGOs are the one. They go to any corner of country or society or locality where government may or may not able to reach. And NGOs, when we say profit, some with the profit motive, with still with the public cause, cooperative, self-help group, philanthropic, social organization, and even religious organizations also. Sometimes they contribute for the education of the underprivileged. And we have independent agencies, private agencies, free servicing training institutions, in-service training institutions. We also have private universities and mass media, radio. Now radio look like very old. We can add. I added here ICT. It's there in the material. So ICT it more implies like social media, press, film, TV. All these contribute for what is that? They are all providers of continuing education. Conditions necessary for the success of continuing education. Let us see what are those conditions. If everything is there, what else we need? Some conditions. What are those conditions? Why conditions are important? Because they're all adult learners. Yes, Mr. Krishna Rai, you can read.
Suppose literate society, awareness among the community people, provision of learning opportunities for continuing education, training of continuing educators, adoption of suitable teaching methods, integration of continuing education with development, funding and resources.
Yes, these are the conditions. If these conditions are there, definitely whomsoever we target as a part of adult education, then that can become successful. Literate society, there any where adult learners are there, those who are yet to be neo-literates or semi-literates. For such people, we need to find out who are the literate people there. Their help and all we can take and we can promote. So what I mean to say, involvement of the local community, those who are educated, right? That is literate society. Then awareness among the community people. The community people also should feel. Many of them may be educated, but there can be, especially women, they are at a disadvantage. Generally, if you take older women, they're not given any importance with respect to their education, their learning and all. So you need to target. When you see adult education, generally we just say adult education, but I feel women adult education. I mean, women education, I can say. In fact, most of them are women only. Say, gone, like long back, we used to find more number of male people. But like generations, now there is generation change. We can even today we can find women, right? Then provision of learning opportunity for continuing education. Learning opportunities should be given for continuing education. That means there should not be any stigma. There should not be any opposition. See, there can be stigma, opposition in terms of caste factor, all that and all, right? Especially in certain places, villages and all, rural community. Even today we see now why only about rural community. Even in the urban areas also, caste factor is a obstacle. Even some places there are hidden restrictions. Training of continuing educators. You are a continuing educator. You need to keep updating yourself. If you are not updating, then we are doing injustice to the adult learners or adult learners. We are doing injustice. What is important, especially see prayak, assistant prayak, they are also called as continuing educators. Prayak and assistant prayak, they are also called as continuing educators. They need to be constantly updated. Adoption of suitable teaching methods. So already we discussed what are the methods and all for knowledge, for attitude change, for promote developing skill. Different types of methods are there. Depending upon what initiative is being taken. If it is knowledge related, then certain methods. If it is training, if it is skill related, training, etc. If it is attitude related discussion, showing documentaries, etc. And another important another important factor is integration of continuing education with the development. Along with the developmental initiatives, we should involve people. Many people may ask, say, I crossed 70 years. What is the use of education for me? Like that, they will tell. If they are capable, if they can come, if they can walk, we can give them education. So who knows? Because we know that at the age of 97, a chemist could get, the scientist specialized in chemistry could get Nobel Prize. Last year, you have seen a person at the age of 97 got the Nobel Prize. That shows the spirit. When functional literacy is there, we don't know how the person can contribute. When functional literacy is not there, person may not be able to speak. Basic literacy is important. And even funding and resources, they are very important. Funding and resources. The continuing education should be funded. Very, very important. See, what does it mean? There should be adequate fundings. There should be adequate fundings. And see, when I was working as a, see, recently I worked as a sector officer. for Lok Sabha elections. So I managed 17 polling stations. I was like a magistrate. I was given a in charge of magistrate. Why I'm mentioning that means in one of the polling, see, I under me there were 17 PRO presiding officers. I gave training all that and all. When I visited one of the polling station on the day of election here in Karnataka, one of the polling official was telling there was a lower voter turnout, and I was asking her, this is sensitive area, and I don't know why people. Maybe due to that factor, there is a lower voter turnout. Then she said, "Sir, it may be sensitive area. We also need to attract the voters. Many of the voters during voting, they won't go for voting. They think that it is a holiday. They simply move out of the state." But tactfully, Election Commission of India, they always keep voting, particularly on Wednesday. Wednesday comes in the middle. If it comes in Friday, also people will take off. Saturday, we cannot question. Saturday, Sunday, literally consider something like holiday for some people. What I mean to say, she was mentioning funding. So, Election Commission of India can give incentives for the voters. And initially, to be honest, I did not accept. But later on, I felt like, yes, I saw an article on that initiative. Yes, Election Commission of India, they can initiate people. They can motivate people, come and vote. Some probably some arrangement of what snacks or tea or coffee like that. The Election Commission of India, they get funds from the politicians. Politicians as a part of their candidature, then they have to deposit money and all. So to enhance the voter turnout, what I mean to say, to enhance the adult learners turnout. See, adult learners, they're so clever. Some of them initially they show interest, gradually they lose interest. They're little scared also. वो बाप रे, ये क्यों एग्जाम लेना है? वो थोड़ा आज एग्जाम कर रहे हैं, मेरे के लिए ग्रैंड चिल्ड्रन है, मैं क्या करना है इससे, मेरे के लिए क्या मिलता है? But it all depends upon the educator, continuing educator, prayer, assistant prayer. Adequate funding should be there. Yes, both government of India and all the state governments, they are providing adequate funding as of now with regard to the continuing education. And resources also there. Resources means it is not only government, even NGOs, government, local community people also, they are providing for education. It's a main function of continuing education centers or nodal continuing education center. What is the difference between continuing education centers and nodal continuing education centers? I did not put the word nodal education. After nodal continuing education, I should put the word centers. I think that is missed out. What is the difference between these two? Are they same? What do you mean by nodal?
No idea about it.
Nodal means nodal officer, we say, right? That means he is in charge of other officials who have taken up same role but at different capacity. In a given place, there can be, say, 4 or 5 continuing education center. They need some regional center that is called nodal continuing education center. For example, IGNO. In each state, IGNO has study centers. What is the nodal center for that? Regional
Visa
center.
center.
See, definitely, continuing education center should have provision for library, reading room, and
Very good.
that should be suitable for the learning society. There should be facilities for retention of literacy skills and continuing education, and especially residual, non-literates, semi-literates should be, and even dropouts, school dropouts. There are children who are dropouts. For such people also, literacy skills should be developed. Luckily, now 10th standard, passing of 10th standard is must to get the driving license, right? Earlier, driving license can be given to anybody, provided
Hmm.
if the person is skillful. Now, 10th standard certificate has been made mandatory. Then, creating scope for application of functional literacy and dissemination of information and developmental programs and creation of awareness on issues of national concern, health and hygiene, national integration, conservation of conservation and improvement of environment, all that, and even cultural recreational activities. Very important. Every time if you give only education, adult learners will go back. They need entertainment. Encourage them to sing. Encourage them to say, make movements. Encourage them to do some. Showcase their talent, their hobbies. Showcase their hobbies. Ask them to say something. And even adult education can become successful only if the economic conditions of the local communities improve. If the poor people remain poor only, no slight change in their economic condition, they lose interest. See, we need to see that government, state government, they are also paying attention to improve the local economic conditions. So there should be good conditions. There should be availability of water. There should be more provision for employment opportunities. There should be more practical oriented training and all. Suppose when farmers are being given information, if farmers are given information, then definitely what happened? Farmers will inform non-farmers to attend adult education. Each person can motivate others, right? Now let us get into the another important unit, very interesting and important unit. What kind of materials we can give to the semi-literate and neo-literate? How they should be? We know about books. Reading material for neo-literates and semi-literates. It's very interesting to know what kind of materials we can give to them because special initiatives have to be taken up to provide materials for them in terms of the pictures, in terms of the font size, in terms of the content. We cannot go similarly like that of formal education. It should be simplified. Neo-literates and semi-literates. Let us just recapitulate briefly. First, yes, Mr. Krishnan, you can read out. You are not audible.
No, sorry, it was on mute. Sorry. New literate is an adult or an adolescent who did not or could not make use of available education opportunities on time, and who at a later stage acquired the skills of literacy through formal or non-formal approaches. Majority of neo-literates are economically poor and live in rural areas or urban slums. They have fragile level of literacy in the absence of appropriate reading materials for them. They can easily relapse into illiteracy.
Yes. See, if let us recall our own parents, suppose if they were not educated or they were semi-literates, can we imagine them to go for evening classes and all?
Communication.
It's highly impossible because they're more care of my son is coming home. I should take care of him. I should prepare food. These are more important than education. What will I gain by means of acquiring continuing education? That is the perception. That we cannot say wrong. So we need to attract them. Majority of the neo-literates, they are economically poor and live in rural areas and sometimes urban slums. Okay, so We know about many urban area, I mean slum areas, which is the biggest slum in entire India, biggest slum
वो
in Mumbai.
मुंबई में है।
What's the name of that?
बहुत सारी मूवीज बनी है उस पे नाम याद नहीं आ रहा सर।
Just 1 minute.
लॉट ऑफ मूवीज
I'll
आर
just
देयर।
search. Dharavi.
धारावी धारावी देयर लॉट ऑफ मूवीज मेड ऑन ए पर्टिकुलर स्टफ। धारावी
Yes, Dharavi. I won't say there all people are illiterates, but situation is such that most of the elderly people are still, even today they are not literate. That is there, and even the younger generation, due to the highly congested lifestyle and different aspects and all, they are not getting to the continuing education. They are more into the this one job and all, like day to day job, all that.
डेली वर्कर्स
So we need to attract
because
such people.
there are a lot of urban slums in Delhi as well. They known as JJ colonies. So mostly they are urban slums.
Yes,
Most of people are engaged in daily wages jobs. They have responsibility to earn bread for their life, their family. They are mostly busy with their daily works and they hardly get time to get educated or continue their education.
yes. Who are semi-literates? Semi-literates, they might have studied up to fifth standard, but no mastery over the literacy skills. They have basic education. Who knows if opportunity is given to them, they may do something creative. So even such people need to be educated. Because now you know about one constitutional article. Now compulsory education should be given to the children, even up to the age of 16 years. Earlier, education for primary education, universalization of primary education. Now, universalization of secondary education, at least up to 16 years. And
Compulsory
10th
education.
standard certificate is must for driving license. So at least 10th is basic requirement because till 10th standard, people literally study important subjects and all. And they'll have functional literacy. And they also grow. And they complete middle adolescence, that is teenage. And from after 17 years onward, they are like late adolescents. After 18, they become young adults. So they also need, and it is interesting to see what the sustainable developmental goals say about adult education. Nothing but gender equality. Mr. Krishnan, how many sustainable developmental goals are there?
15 years,
17.
17 say.
17 sustainable developmental goals. Kindly remember, in 2015, Millennium Developmental Goals were replaced by
Million
Sustainable Developmental Goals. They will be in
indeed.
operation till 2030. I'm going to, now I'm showing you. I'll read out. No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, third one. Quality education, fourth one. Yes, quality education. Gender equality, there is no gender equality. It is because of lack of education. Clean water and sanitization. So all this we can achieve only when every segment of the society they become literate. Affordable and clean energy. If people don't have knowledge on clean energy, how do they apply that? Decent work and economic growth. Yes, decent work. If I have a literacy, I can get decent work and I can economically prosper. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Reduced inequalities. There will be reduced inequalities when, yeah, I mean, adults are educated. Then sustainable cities and communities. Yes, any city can become sustainable if adults are educated. They know how to dispose waste. See, many of us we mix waste. There are 5 types of waste. At least we need to discard waste like organic, inorganic waste. Medical waste is different. Sanitary waste is different. Plastic waste is different. So all this how I can get to know. You, me, we know. But what about the adults? There is a need for continuing education. Responsible consumption and production. Responsible consumption. It can be electricity, water, food, everything. See, generally, we buy the food which is transported from other place to our local place. Nothing wrong to eat any food because choice of food is left to the person. But local food can be given little preference that avoid minimizes carbon footprint, the decarbonization, we can say, climate change. The transportation means more carbon dioxide. Climate action, people can go for climate action if they have a knowledge of climate. That can be possible only if adults are given education. Life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, partnership for the goals. Peace can be there only when people can are educated. They can understand that there is nothing we gain by means of conflict. It's better to have peace. It's better to focus on ourselves. These are the 17 sustainable developmental goals. All these goals of what they are internally related to the adult education because adults are also important part of society. Adults, they in fact guide their children. Literacy survey show a link between literacy rate and national wealth. Why we need adult education? Just see, literacy. There is a survey. There were many surveys. They show that there is a high literacy rate. There can be national wealth, more national wealth. Literate societies are better than societies with widespread illiteracy. See, there are some countries where literacy is not given due importance. What happens? Those countries will fall back. Then improving literacy has been observed to result in a lower share of population living in poverty. So poverty can be reduced when we go for literacy. That is why this is why rising literacy level, especially among women, is part of the United Nations Sustainable Developmental Goals. We can remember I showed the picture of women only with respect to adult education. Because even today we can say that it is the women who suffer because of lack of education, because of the stigma, because of gender stereotyping. Now, very interesting one. Uh, this is very important. Preparing materials for neoliterates, semi-literates. It's a big challenge to prepare the materials. It is not like regular materials. One can see you as a faculty, I as a faculty, we can write article. Generally, articles when we publish in journals, they can be read by the elite club. I mean, professionals. They can understand. But can I give same article to the adult learner? Can they understand? That is different. They cannot. They need some kind of specialized materials. So as a continuing educator or prereq, suppose in future you should know how you can prepare materials. Let us see that. So whenever you provide material, provide informative and interesting materials. 1 minute. I'm sorry. Prepare materials that do away with gender discrimination. Especially when we give materials, there is a gender discrimination, gender stereotyping. Can you give example of gender stereotyping?
So, it can be seen, not see now it is improving, but it can be seen. It starts with the family. You see There's a discrimination when you notice between girls and boys.
In books and all, you might have seen when we say uh, this one soldier, we generally show men as the soldier, not women as the
Exactly.
soldier. Labor,
Even
men.
we farmers, slavers, we could generally give
Labor,
image.
men. And anything related to kitchen, women. This is stereotyping only. See, nothing wrong to show women as a person who is in the kitchen, but elsewhere, even men also should be shown as being in kitchen. See, we have examples of Nala. Nala, you know, Nala Paka, we say, right? Even Bhima, a part of Pandava,
Yeah.
second elderly person in the Pandava group, Bhima. As for Mahabharata, he was very
He
good at
was a cook king.
cooking. So, what I mean to say that you
Even nowadays, even men cook.
have,
I'm sure
and mostly
we
both
do
the
our
people are
we
giving
love to do.
chefs, men only as chefs. And in fact, Akshay Kumar was said to be a chef, film actor Akshay Kumar.
Yeah.
And we
Even
need to avoid
when
because,
there are most cookery shows and you see chef and professionals, they're also men
yes,
and women. They are both in equal numbers. It's like,
yes. And especially in adult learners, they are little old generation, belong to old generation. So they have little amount of stereotyping. When they see these kind of materials and all without stereotyping, some broad-mindedness will be developing. It is essential to make available a rich variety of reading materials which meets the needs of information and entertainment also, as well as for neo-literates and semi-literates. Information should be given to the neo-literates, semi-literates, which has some entertainment also. Let us see the materials, how actually the materials can be prepared. Preparation of materials for neo-literates and semi-literates. I'm going to show now. While preparing material, suppose after several years of experience as continuing educator, one may get opportunity to prepare the materials. Say 5 years of work experience can be helpful at least because you are using materials prepared by someone. Later you are in a position to offer because you are at the field, you know the efficiency, effectiveness of the materials. While producing, as a continuing educator, you just cross check. A clear idea must be there to whom it is meant. There should be clarity over objectives and type of material. Is it a curriculum, teaching learning material, direct reading material like magazine or newsletter? Are we giving only magazine or newsletter, or are we giving prepared material, printed material? Understand the needs of target audience. Is it only women? Is it a mixed group? Or is it a farmer group? Or is it a unemployed youth? Or is it people who are dropouts? Remember those target group. Based on that need, you prepare material. Because target audience is very, very important. Then decide on the language. As much as possible, local language. Apart from English. Local language first. First local language. Gradually English. But local language should be sustained. We cannot start with only English. That will be highly negative. We need to start with both local and English. Both should be there. Read English later stages, especially for the neo-literates. Read and analyze existing publications. Just go through the available materials for adults. You can make out. And field test written material in order to get the feedback. You can go for tryout, we can say. Prepare a rough draft, say some 8 to 10 pages, you prepare a reading material for adults. Give to a select group of adults as a part of tryout. Women, men, preferably rural. Then seek their opinion. You will understand how far it has been impacting. Then, next, when you write, Articles written around events, incidents, and issues that are topical are easy to relate to, even if they are outside the immediate concern of readers. So, whenever you write materials, you provide those articles which are related to their immediate concern.
Topical.
Articles should not be written in the essay style. Use short paragraph. Don't go for lengthy paragraph, short paragraph. And link each paragraph to the previous one properly. Short paragraph so that adult learners can easily read and grasp. The content should be diverse. A publication, magazine, newspaper, newsletter should include news, information, stories, articles. I'm sorry, Krishnan.
It's okay, sir.
I think PPT is not visible, right?
Yes, not visible.
1 minute. Just bear with me for 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Krishnan,
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
PPT not visible, sir.
ಮೇಡಮ್ ಕಾಣುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್ PPT?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಇಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನ ಶೇರ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವಾಗ
ಈಗ
ಬಂತು.
ಆಯ್ತು.
ಎಸ್
ಎಸ್
ಸರ್,
ಮೇಡಮ್,
ಎಸ್
ಎಸ್ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ.
ಮೇಡಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪವರ್ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಮೇಡಮ್, ಅದೇ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡೆ.
ಹಾ ಸರ್, ಓಕೆ, ನೋ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್.
Then while preparing the materials for neoliterates, a clear idea of the target audience and their levels of literacy should be kept in the mind. And one should have clarity over. I think I already completed this slide. I'll go to next slide. 1 minute.
Yes.
1 minute. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Read and analyze existing publications, field test written material, all that already covered. Coming to the, so this also I already covered, how to write articles, all that and all. Avoid using explicit definitions. You need not use definition as such because they are adult learners. Some amount of content flexibility without affecting its accuracy can be done. You can introduce new words and weave a definition of word, concept, or idea around a sentence. Articles need to raise questions without telling people how things should be. Articles need to provide new information, but there should not be an information overload. Less information, concise information only. How I can say which I can get a concise information? If you see the newsletters and all, newsletters, any article on particular topic, they're so pleasing. Just one page or one and a page.
They use
They're given
pictures.
like, yes, consolidated, not scholarly. Many people they prepare scholarly materials for distance. I mean, adult learners. Then what happens? Adult learner really get scared. See, they are different. They are new literates, and so we need to prepare the materials which can be suitable to them. Then use statistics and data judiciously. Percentages, ratio need to be explained. Don't use high, I mean, in-depth or what I mean to say, advanced statistics. For their level, percentage analysis is okay. Ratios also okay because we are not producing any academician. Rather, we are just trying to make them literates. Then the beginning of the article needs to be interesting. It should highlight the seriousness of the issue. Avoid long introduction. While raising questions during writing, do not leave too many questions. Don't put too many questions in the article. Do not give message or morals at the end of articles because they are all most of them are adults only. Even if you go for children, there the motto is to learn the literacy. Of course, children point of view you can put morals, but not for the adults. You put to store morals and all at the end, adults it looks a little illogical only. They may be illiterates, neo-literates, but does not mean that they are not matured. They are matured. They have common sense. What is not there may be education, lack of education. Then headings should be there. Catchy headings should be there. Use subheadings. Sentences should have 12 to 14 to 20 words only each sentence in each page. There should be 270 to 300 words, little lengthier materials. Madam, hello, madam. Krishnan, my laptop
Yes,
has
sir.
only 10% of battery life. Now here, no power.
Sir,
I'm
if you can share me the slide so I can play it.
yes, I'll just another 5 minutes. Probably I can take.
You share the slide to me, I'll play it one by one. So
Yes,
it
yes, I
ultimately
can share. I'll just quickly run slides. So, how to make improvement in the visual materials? These are the things you need to take into consideration. Feedback. You can take feedback from the adult learners by means of these activities. You can give a questionnaire, you can conduct interview, you can conduct a debate. I'll be happy if I can get current power.
That's
But I
okay.
did not expect this. I was keep charging only. I was confident, but suddenly,
No, you if you like if you continue, you share the file on this file on
yes.
chat, and you use your mobile to discuss. I'll just move the slides for
Sorry,
you.
can you repeat?
What you can do is you can share the PPT in the chat box so that I will download it and I will share. And you just teach via phone. You don't need to use your laptop then. You can use it by doing it by your phone.
Yes. I'll do one thing. Now I have to share the share.
Just share the file on the chat box or chat box.
Can you send your mail? You just
Yes,
type your
yes,
mail.
I can do that. Shared, sir.
I'm in the chat box. 1 minute. Roy Krishnan 2009. Now I'll exit. I'll again rejoin. I'm sending mail. Just give me 2 minutes time.
Okay,
I'm sending mail.
okay,
Now it's going.
okay.
Mr. Krishnan, I have sent.
Okay, sir. Let me check. So not received yet.
Sorry,
I have not received it.
not yet received.
I have not received your mail yet.
Can you refresh?
I am doing it, sir.
Oh, now you can see. It might have come. Rai Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not received.
Rai RAI Krishna 2009 at gmail.com, right?
Yes, sir.
It has reached.
KRISHAM.
You got right?
So just resend it because I did not receive any mail. So if you can
Okay,
resend it,
1 minute. I'll resend. I'll resend. Just be on the line only.
okay. Hello. Yes. अच्छा ओके अभी कहाँ पे है
Krishnan, can you just spell once again? RAI.
सर RAI KRI
KRI.
SHAM
SHAN.
AM
1 minute. Krishnan. Okay. Krishnan. One minute, Krishnan. I'm not able to understand. Can you spell once again?
सर RAI KRI
KRI. Okay.
SHAM
SHAN. Oh. 2009.
yeah @gmail.com.
I think now it has come.
One second. Received sir.
You got, Mr. Krishnan?
Sir, I have also shared.
Thank you so much.
Can you see the screen?
Madam, I'm sorry, madam. There was a disruption in the electricity.
Yeah, I know, sir, but sir, sorry, I'm traveling. Otherwise, I would have done, sir.
Yes, madam. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ PPT ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ.
ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಸರ್. ಯಾ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು. ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್.
ಎಸ್ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಎಸ್ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈಗ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಲಾಗಿನ್ ಆದೆ. ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಈಗ 5% ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತು. ಇನ್ನ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅದು ಉಪಯೋಗ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಸಡನ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಯ್ತು. ಇನ್ವರ್ಟರ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಕ್ಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು.
ಸಾರಿ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ.
ಎಸ್ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಎಸ್ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮೇಡಮ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. So I think we were here, right? Next slide, can you go? Next slide. Mr. Rai, next slide.
We were there, sir, right? So we were at preparation of reading materials of new literates, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So group exercise, preparation of reading materials for neoliterates. Next one. So we can prepare reading material in the form of simple article on any topic of daily importance. Write the topic by adhering to the procedure suggested, whatever procedure that was discussed. Then put visuals wherever necessary. Especially visuals are very, very important to attract adult learners, and administer the materials to at least two neo or semi-literates. That is called tryout, because that is ensures content validation, because they are the target group. Get the feedback from the target group, submit the reading materials to the mentor for evaluation. Next slide. Unit 16, role of libraries in post literacy and continuing education. See, especially on one hand, the developed university and college libraries, science and research libraries. On the other hand, we have inadequate, underdeveloped school, rural, public libraries. See, not all public libraries are in poor condition, but most of the public libraries nowadays, like they are not yet to be maintained properly. And especially schools, some schools are having very good library, but in many schools, libraries are not properly maintained. So, and even in rural places also. What I mean to say, public library is very, very important. In fact, after continuing education center, it is the library that is more important. Even if a continuing education center has library, still the adults need public library. Public library is like a second continuing education center. We can say that. Even exam also we can write the same statement. See, the continuing education center have their own library. Second best library is public library. Next slide. Next. Public library is maintained out of public funds for providing free service to the people regardless of race, color, creed, for everybody irrespective of differences. And public library has been visualized as an institution for promoting lifelong learning. Yes, there is no bar, there is no restriction for any person to enter the public library. You just look at any state, they give importance to the library because they want their people to be educated. People should keep track of what are the government initiatives, what are the policies, what are the programs, all that and all. And public library, first of all, it is expected to support formal education. I think you have seen many of the students, PG students, research scholars, they also go to public library beside institutional library. That is the importance given to the public library. And even we have seen non-formal general education. For non-formal education also, for general information, general education also, people go for library. When we read newspaper, we get education. When we read magazine, we get education. All these are there. Secondly, any public library, be it state or central public library, they serve as a center for storing, retrieval, and dissemination of information and knowledge. Even it is said that to conserve culture, to transmit culture, library act as one of the important source. In the particularly public library, they are very important because they provide those rare materials which may not be available in the even university library. So generally we see that people cutting across diversities, they flock to the library, public library, just to get continuing education. Next slide. Is there any interrelationship between public library and adult continuing education? Yes, Mr. Krishnan.
Yes, sir,
Krishnan.
yes. We have just read, no, that public library is a source of knowledge, and it's a part where people can get knowledge and get information. They can get education. So obviously, for adult also for their continuing education, we can have good resources there, and they can learn by themselves. Though self-learning is not easy for them, so they can't do hard or difficult articles. But yes, the books that we are just preparing for them only, they can just get all those.
Okay. Can you go to next slide? The functions of library and adult education, almost we can say complementary and supplementary to each other. adult education center, continuing education centers, in fact, motivate people to go to libraries, public libraries. Adults who get education in the continuing education centers, they are motivated to go to library with a refreshing mind, with a changed mind. Earlier, the people who are neoliterates who have basic learning, but if they get education, they go for higher materials, higher magazines, science magazines, and journals. They refer. That what I mean to say, and people who go to library, they also feel like how I can improve my knowledge. I can go for continuing education center, especially people who are with basic literacy. And people who are without literacy, once they get adequate literacy, they feel motivated to go to library. See, it is like complementary, both supplementary, complementary, and especially to each other. And both aim at bringing the benefits of education to the public or masses. To take any public library, the core principle is reaching out public. That's all. It is meant for the public only. See, when you see people reading magazines, journals, they develop culture, a good culture, helping others, developing scientific temper. Fine. So libraries promote all those and all. And continuing education center, they also cater to the masses only. Who are the mass? Women, men who are not educated. They are taken into consideration. Thus, adult educators, adult education, the library services, with their symbiotic relationship, have identity of aims. Whatever the aims of adult education that are there, most of the aims are fulfilled even by libraries. Libraries, as I said, they can be conveniently called as secondary continuing education centers. Okay, and they have a common purpose that is lifelong learning. Library never puts any restriction on anybody. Person, if the person is capable, they can go to library. They can read newspaper. They can read fiction. They can read magazines, anything. When they read all this is nothing but knowledge. See, in continuing education center, the illiterates get education. They get literacy. Then they feel more motivated to go to the continuing education centers. Library. Suppose the persons with literacy, basic literacy, when they are going to library, by seeing the educated elite students, they feel that why can't I go for stretching my education? Then they also go for continuing education center. See, there are some differences between public library, continuing education center. Now, adult education is dynamic. It is dynamic. What do you mean by dynamic, Mr. Krishnan?
So which is continuous and change with time.
Yes, the curriculum, the setup, the roles are being updated in the adult education as according to the changing needs of the society. It is quite dynamic. Of course, I won't say library is not dynamic. Libraries also have become dynamic. Please remember, nowadays we can see hybrid library, right? We have seen offline libraries, offline. Till some years ago, the concept was offline, traditional library. Now digital libraries have come. Which one, as a faculty, you suggest suitable for adult learners?
They should doing physical learning more than
Physics,
digital.
especially there should be availability of books, all that and all, right? Books, magazines, newspapers, printed version should be there along with online resources. See, online resources generally favored by people who are educated. But for the adult learners, they prefer books. But that does not mean that we can forego. 1 minute. We can forego online resources. We also need online resources. Gradually, adult learners may find it comfortable. They find it comfortable to use even online resources. Power has come. No problem. I'll continue the mobile only. Then next one is that adult education dynamic in nature and purpose. Library is more stable agency, and yet it can instruct. Library instructs, it informs, it molds minds. How in the library there are books, there are magazines, right? So all these can be helpful. All these can be helpful to mold the mind of the distance learners. I mean, adult learners and people. It also life of the people also change with the dynamic approaches and latest data and information. Many a time the library changes the people. Accordingly, even the continuing education centers also changes the life of the people. Library, it gives inspiration. That is one of the objective, one of its objectives. Similarly, even adult education centers, they give inspiration. See, Kentucky Food Chicken founder, he found KFC after 60 years. After 60 years, can we imagine that person can start a new venture, new business? We think he has become a grandfather, old person, no more active like that. But maybe somewhere he might have seen the situation. He has got a latest update that yes, there is a need for some good food for the people. Then accordingly, what he did? He thought that why can't I go for international? Initially started with the intention of local outlet, but now throughout India you can see KFC. That is some sort of adult education because he has continued his education, lifelong learning. We can say. Fine. Next slide. The library, if equipped properly with the suitable resources and made accessible to the semi-literate, neo-literate, especially the public library. See, continuing education center will have their own library, but that is not sufficient, right? It has materials only for basic literacy purpose. But a public library should also take into consideration the diverse needs of the people. Semi-literate, neo-literate, literate, self-learning adults can undoubtedly be the best agency of adult education, including post-literacy. Then, 1 minute. I'm joining to the laptop. We are in the end. We'll just wind up. It will be convenient for me. I think when you show also, I can read, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I won't be waiting. If I get chance, I can. So all the adults generally mainly
Now,
Shall I stop presenting?
1 minute. 1 minute. Yes. Can you go to next slide? In Kerala, especially Kerala, people call it as a literate state. It is not justly simply due to government initiatives alone. Government initiative was there, even there was a public-private participation. So, Kerala Granthashala Sangam, it established more than 4,000 libraries. And it was said that for 3,000 people, one library was available. That's a big thing. For around 3,000 persons, Each library was available. That means it encouraged people to go for more of adult education. And 50% of libraries, they have their own buildings. That's a great thing, because local people, they have taken more interest. What I mean to say, continuing education centers, they can get success when local people can assist. So as a prayer, assistant prayer, continuing educator, we need to win the confidence of the local people. But even, please remember, Delhi Public Library has a very big speciality. See, in 1951 only, the then Ministry of Education, it established Delhi Public Library, and it was jointly sponsored by UNESCO, because 1947 we got independence, and there was a strong need for adult education, because we were ruled by someone, and after 1947 we wanted our own autonomy, our own education. What about the old people? How they can get educated? There, the government thought of that. It can go ahead with the public library. See, Indian population, even that time also it was a little higher only. See, India is a being as geographically it is a small country, but we have a huge population that is there, and it is the first of its kind, especially in the entire world. Will with respect to the public library, and the main motto was that then government, Indian government, had the motto of educating the adult learners. Next, diversity and magnitude of library services. Next, uh, so according to Kola, US, 1996, that time only, he said that a good library provides adult education in 6 categories. That means it is supplementing the efforts of continuing education centers, supplying books, film, recordings, tapes, and other learning materials to the prayer and assistant prayer or continuing educator. And even the prayer can plan for education activities based on library. You can plan education activities, because prayer cannot depend upon only the continuing education center's library, and it also helps to advise the community on subject, methods, materials. There are wide variety of literature available in the library, training the readers and librarians in skills and techniques necessary for adult education activities. Public library, please remember, you can check as a continuing educator. When you go to public library, just speak to the librarian. Ask the librarian, sir, do you get people who are neo-literates? Or you can say, madam, do you get any neo-literates? Whether the old people are coming here. You can even do a small survey. Like people, you can ask, sir, what is your basic qualification? I'm a teacher, I'm a educator, sir, continuing education educator. What I mean to say, the librarians have the bounden duty to give confidence, to give publicity about materials that are available in the library. And they should inform the opportunities available, especially the youth who get into the community polytechnics and all, the adults who get the certification, some training, the community polytechnic and all. They should know what are the employment opportunities and all. How do they know? When they go to the library, they can get the materials, they can get through that, all that and all. And especially in the library, there should be all the possible activities to further adult education. See, the old concept of public library is only books, materials, newspapers. But now, the concept of public library is it is a secondary adult education center. It can invite adults for discussions. It can invite feedback from the adults about what materials they require. It can even organize some discussions, I mean debates. and it can even screen developments in the different nations. Some documentaries, some movies and all can be shown to the adults. And a good library can also provide for refreshment, not at the free of cost, can be at nominal price. Because people see if there is some snacks, tea, coffee in the evening, people also feel like, see, most of the rural people they go to hotels in the evening time around 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock. In the library, if there is small canteen which can also accommodate that aspect, that will be really helpful. What I mean to say that public library should be multifarious, more broad based, in order to attract adults, so that it can support the initiatives of continuing education centers. Okay, thank you all. Thank you so much, Krishan, for your patience listening.
Thank you, sir.
Madam, Krishan, you have anything to ask?
No, sir. Okay. I mean, the session was great. I had learned many things today, and this will
Sorry?
really help me in my preparation. So the session was great. So I learned many things today and many
Thank you.
things today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and this will definitely going to help me.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Banu is
Madam,
there or-
I think Madam is traveling.
Sir.
Madam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Madam.
Completed, sir.
Yes, Madam.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Will. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I think all your classes are completed today. All 4
Yes, Madam.
classes.
Yes, Madam. I once again
Okay.
thank Dr. Hemamali, Madam, for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir. I thank you on behalf of regional center, on behalf of all the regional center, behalf of IGNO also, for conducting such a good session, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Madam.
And Krishnan, sir, if you have any doubts, you can mail us, sir.
So my
You
mail.
can send the mail to RC Bangalore also.
Okay.
We will send all the recordings, also, recording sessions, sir.
Yeah, please, ma'am.
PPTs
That will
also.
help.
Yes, sir.
PPTs and
Yeah, PPTs also, and also the recordings are there. We will send all the class recordings also for the previous classes. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you so much.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
All the best, Christian.
Thank you, sir.